Welcome. Welcome back if you're returning. Today I have 2 room makeovers. I have a whole bunch of thrift flips, and I also have a few early Halloween crafts because, well, if it's anything like last year, I probably won't be around for Halloween, but we'll get into that later. First of all, let's do some flipping. Now, I'm sure you remember this champagne bucket. I've been using it out on the front porch, but honestly, and I had lavender in it, actually, real lavender, but it has rained so much that I thought it might just, the wind blow it off and it'd float off down the street. So I decided to bring it in and put some artificial lavender in it and put it on my dining room table. So I looked out for some of those what are they called? This foam stuff, I'd been using this one as a little pin cushion. I decided not to use that one and use the one that comes in the package. So I cut that to fit into the champagne bucket and then proceeded to get my artificial flowers. I cut them all to length and then I put them into the bucket in like a figure 8 to start with and then filled in around. So this was 3 large bunches, and then there were smaller little bunches that I'd picked up here and there over time. All of these were what I had existing around the house. I went round into different containers that I had been storing lavender in and sort of picked them all and laid them in the container. When it was on the table, and when it is on the table, it does look really quite real. I also have one of those diffusing misters in the air, and that's the lavender, so you can be fooled into thinking there is a big bunch of lavender on the table when you walk into the room. So it's certainly, I'm glad to have this bucket inside the house, and at least for the next month until I fill it with fall colour, it's a really nice summertime table setting. Now, I know I did a video a couple of weeks ago with the cloches, but this was one that I have in the cabinet and I really liked it. I think it came out of a light. It's not a proper cloche, and there's another couple of little ones that I was going to use. But the big one was like cut glass and I really wanted to use it. And I thought, first of all, I'll use it with the butterflies similar to the one I made in the dining room. I had this disc of polystyrene, so I figured I would trace the shape, cover it in probably, I thought I was going to use green velvet. I ended up using red velvet. You can see I just cut it out with a knife, made it just fit inside the close shape, and then I glued some material on top of it. Well, as you can see, the red velvet is actually blue velvet. I did cover it in the blue and then put a piece of ribbon all around the outside just to make it look prettier, and you can see that the cloche is just sitting on top of it. Then I got some stickers. This was from the pack that I got a few weeks ago. As I said, these are all one size, and I thought I would stick them outside of a couple outside on the glass and then put some inside on sticks. Well, that was my first idea. So running along with the first idea, I stuck a few of the butterflies on the outside. I then got the skewer sticks. I cut them to various lengths and got the butterflies ready to stick on. I took a marker pen and literally just coloured them in top to bottom. And then I was going to space them out and put the butterflies on, but I changed my mind. So I filled the glass with the lights and just put the butterflies all around outside, and it turned out so beautiful, especially with the cut glass. The light shimmers beautifully and all the little butterflies sort of circle the glass, and it looks different to the other ones, but it still looks really pretty and special in the spare room. Don't get angry at me for making early Halloween decorations, because I'm not sure if you remember last year I wasn't around. I decorated for Halloween and then didn't come back till just before Christmas. So bearing that in mind, I'm not sure how much time we're going to be in France. I decided to make this early on just to show you roughly what I was going to be doing. If I'd have had black paper, I would have used it. So I got my Cricut machine. I cut out these bat shapes in blue paper because that was the darkest paper I had. I then used the same sticks that I was going to use for the butterflies. I cut them a little shorter to fit into the smaller base, and then I used the lid of a candle. Now I would normally have drilled into this little candle lid. In the end, I just used the glue gun, and you can see I positioned smaller and larger bats up and down the sticks, and then I glued the sticks in place, and I also had a dab of glue on the inside of the glass and put the biggest bat in the back. Again, if I'd have had black paper or black sparkly paper with the glitter on, I would have used that, and if I get time I will change this and use this for Halloween. But I just wanted to show you how easy this was if you have a spare cloche, just making things out of stuff that you have around the house. In the end, I added the greenery, and there we have a really cute little Halloween inspired bat cloche that literally cost me nothing. So I'm sorry it's early, but just in case I don't get a chance to show you before we get back from France. So along the same line, this is a little project that I was planning for Halloween. Again, I'm doing it early so that it's done in case I don't get time when I get back. I got some eyes, a picture of some eyes, and I sized them to fit the glasses that I have. I printed them off. And then I took my glasses and traced around them so that I could get the correct size to fit into the lens. I then, as I said, I traced them, cut them out, and then used a tiny little bit of tape to tape them into place so I don't do any damage to the glasses. Now, these are pretty eyes, but for Halloween I will be doing scary, nasty eyes, but quick, easy, and you could do with these with glasses from the dollar store. This is my William Morris poster dupe. Now, I've seen these posters, they're quite large and they're terribly expensive. I'd thrifted 2 of these large, they're not canvases, they're like they're like a veneer board almost. I'd thrifted 2 that were a little bit damaged. I had one of my own and I bought one. They were $5 each from the dollar store. So if you're doing this from scratch, it's not inexpensive, but it's still not as expensive as you would be paying for a proper size print. I'd got 4. I painted them all in this just a regular Aurora off-white paint. This is the paint that I had used on the cabinets in the kitchen, in the laundry room, so I still had plenty of this left. So what I'm doing is I'm adding all 4 of these boards together, and then I have a transfer that is it's a copy of a William Morris print. It's quite large, and I'm going to put that on the wall in the hallway at the top of the stairs. It's a space that I've had empty for a while, and I just thought a nice big poster of William Morris would be great, but not for $250. So this is the transfer that I got. I've had this for quite a while. I want to say at least it's got to be getting on for a year. I got this on sale. It was these don't go on sale very often, so when I picked it up I knew what I was doing. I've been waiting for the opportunity to finish this job. So you can see the space that I needed was quite large, and to try and find something that was lightweight but would take this whole print was quite difficult. And that's when I thought of, when I thrifted the 2 boards, I thought, oh, maybe that'll fit. And then of course when I've tried to fit it, I realized I need 2 more. That's why I knew I'd got 1, and I ended up buying 1 more. But I mean, if anybody else can think of anything else, or if you don't mind doing this on heavier wood, it certainly would be a little easier than doing it in 4 parts. But what I've done is I've placed all the boards together. I've used a dab of glue on each of them just to keep them into place, because afterwards I'm going to be screwing them together. So you can see I've positioned the transfer, and I'm going to make sure that it is exactly marked. The line down the center is perfect and everything is lined up, so when I join them back together it looks perfect. So I'm taking the transfer, it's in place, and then I'm going to peel the back layer off, lay it back down and start to transfer it onto the boards. Now this took quite a bit of work to get to stick, so what I did was I went in sections. I would really work it into the surface, and then I would start to peel back the upper layer, and then as little bits just here and there weren't sticking down properly, I just go back over it and give it another good pressing down with the tool. So once both pieces were done and joined together, we turned it over and I put 2 screws in each cross. So if you think of the 4 pieces being joined together, it made a cross and each one got 2 screws in them to hold everything into place. So you can see it's quite a substantial piece of work, but it's not heavy. That was the key thing, because I knew I wanted to hang it up and I'd have to get it up there and have it stay there. So once it was turned over, you can see it's not perfect, but there was quite a bit of area all the way around, and I decided to add some wording which was similar to the poster that I'd seen. So again, I went back to my Cricut machine and I just wrote William Morris Arts and Crafts, and then had that cut out, transferred it onto the boards. Again, same method. I used the William Morris at the front on the one side, the Arts and Crafts on the bottom on the other side. I then added some hooks to the back of the whole thing with some wire, and took it off upstairs to its final resting place. And here it is. So it's, as you go up the stairs, there's a very long wall that's sort of the wall to one of the bedrooms, which is now my office. I did have a clock on this wall, but it needed something substantial, and this looks absolutely amazing. Of course, it has kept the theme of the William Morris prints that I've been using, but it's a big enough piece that it holds its own on the wall. It is central actually to the staircase as opposed to the wall, but you can see because of the high ceilings that we have in the house, it kind of had to be something that was quite substantial to help fill the area. The one wall down the stairs is obviously all the William Morris prints, but you can see how nice it looks in that hallway, especially with the rest of the decor that we have there. When we are actually over in France, we'll be over in the UK as well, so I'm going to see if I can pick up any more out of the ordinary William Morris prints to fill my wall out. So I'm looking forward to be finishing that when I get back. So let's move on to the room makeovers. So the library, which used to be my office. Obviously my office is now upstairs, so we've turned the library into a sitting room. We moved the little couch. Now this started out in the living room. It was outside for a few weeks, but because of all the rain we decided to bring it in and move it into this room. And it is such a comfy couch anyway, but it is perfect for the library because you can just sit there and read your books, put your feet up. It's just a lovely space. I haven't done much obviously because the bookshelves are in place and they won't be moving anytime soon, but in the space where my desk was is the perfect place and space for this couch. It's just turned it, as like I said, turned it into from a great room into an even better room where it's just sit. The dog loves to sit there on that couch. My husband's an avid reader and he's got a basket full of books that he keeps that he's sort of working on at the moment, and it's just a lovely place to sit. So that is the first of the room makeovers. Not a very big makeover, but certainly a big impact. And the last room is the guest room. This was Olivia's room, and if you remember, this started out as the library. I'd painted it as a library office, and then Olivia moved back home. So this is what I have done to it now to reclaim the room. I've obviously the colours have stayed the same because these are the colours that I've chosen. It's been within a year that this has been painted. Those are two more of my fabric baskets that they're so handy to have out. I just grabbed one of my trays and put a few little objects on it. The curtains, this little window is just one panel of velvet curtain. It was one that I thrifted a couple of weeks ago, probably about 6 weeks ago now. It was definitely in one of my thrift hauls. It's a beautiful green velvet. It's a very high quality. It goes perfectly with the couch, the little couch which came out of the library downstairs. So that was something that I knew I wanted to keep in this room. A lot of these little pictures came out of the living room at the last house. A couple of them were on this wall before Olivia moved in. So I put a couple of things back, added in the little shelves with the birds, again to give that vintage feel. There's lots of light in this room from the side and the back. The windows aren't terribly large, but they do put a lot of light into the room. So these little birds, everything in this room has been thrifted, absolutely everything. Everything that I've found over the years, it's just I'd gone through my pictures and sort of tried to come up with a kind of theme as best I could to put on this wall. This little cabinet in the corner has been with us for years. It was an original IKEA cabinet. It was brown. We've painted it white. We've painted it cream. We put the gold handles on. I recently painted it the same colour as the wall to reuse it, and for now it is ideal. The little objects on top are various things that we've had. A lot of them have got my sewing notions in. This is a Victorian piece that I've had for many years. I thought I'd get this out and start using it. It's etched and it is very pretty. I've just to find another matching candlestick for the candle for the other candlestick. These curtains were the Martha Stewart curtains, the velvet curtains that I picked up a few weeks ago in a thrift haul. I sewed the trim to them, which is a really nice thick heavy trim, and it just makes these curtains look and feel very luxurious and very Victorian. I also added an extra panel on the bottom because I'd made them initially to go in my office, but once they were in there I preferred the William Morris curtains that I'd made and moved these into this room, and I think they match perfectly. The lace curtain is actually a tablecloth, again fits perfectly in the space. The other side of the room, the bed was Olivia's bed. She's left the bed, and it was a white IKEA bed. It was a little modern looking, so I grabbed this curtain. It's a velvet curtain with the lovely autumnal colours, and just threw it over the headboard, and I think it looks perfect. I'll show you a close-up of that after. The bedspread was thrifted, and again perfect for the room and the colouring. Unfortunately we had to leave the TV up, but you know what, it is what it is. This little shelf was also just thrown up for Olivia because she had a lot of stuff, and I decided to leave it because it's great, it's substantial, it's quite rustic, but it serves its purpose. These little expanding hat stands and coat stands I have one in this room and I have one in my office. There's the little cloche on the table beside the bed. The little lamp is something that I've thrifted very many years ago. It's usually in my office. It just didn't fit at the moment with the it wasn't working in there, so I just hooked this onto the bedside table, and it works perfectly in this room. Again, the muted autumnal colours, and you can see I just had a landscape picture on the above the headboard, and this is the headboard. It's just a piece of fabric draped across the headboard, and honestly it just makes it look very luxurious, and it's again another layer of colour and texture on what is quite a tall wall. The pillow is reversible. I just, depending on the mood, and again that's the same, it's a very similar colour to the curtains and the chair. And then because of the space above the headboard, I just added in that little piece of architectural detail above the picture. The other side of the room again was painted when I redid the room when we first moved in. So all in all, it's a really cozy and welcoming room, and I think probably in the fall and winter this room is going to get used quite a lot. You can see where the dog has been laying on the bed. The dog actually loves this room. The dog loves any room where there's a bed or a chair, so this used to be his favourite little couch. He likes the couch downstairs now in the library, and he loves this bed. I also wanted to point out the little plaque that I made last week. This was initially going to be going into the spare room, but once I'd made it, I was so pleased with it that I decided to put it in my office. So it's just on the wall beside my desk, and very pleased I am with it too. Well, thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't. Give me a thumbs up, and I will see you next week.